This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with a Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Regen op mijn kop. Ik via dekkelbus is die kleine vaardijn top. Geef mir geen zacht lid, die drop.
And welcome to Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. I am your host, Judy Gold, and this week we have part 2 of my interview with the one and only Dee Snider, who, Twisted Sister. What a life he has had. I hope you enjoyed part 1 because I loved talking to him. I couldn't wait to air this episode. And then, of course, I text him and I'm like, we're airing the episode this week and he's on vacation. So there you go. Because that's the story of my life. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful story, his story. And, it's uplifting and it gives you hope and determination. I want you to enjoy that. I am actually... You are here, this episode is posting as I leave for Sweden. I'm going to Sweden to the Gothenburg Book Fair for my book. Yes, I can say that when it comes to when they come for the Comedians Roll in Trouble. But of course, there are going to be all these amazing authors there. So I'm going to feel like imposter syndrome, like, oh, you wrote this book about that and I'm just writing about free speech. But anyway, it should be fun. Elisa is not going with me, so that's not good because I get very uptight around not being able to communicate with people. But, it's an adventure. And then, guess what? I get to talk about the adventure on next week's rant. So I'm coming from Sweden. I'm going to have a lot to say. So as you're listening to this, I am being frustrated because I don't speak Swedish. But I will have Swedish meatballs for you and those little Swedish fruit things. Okay? So anyway, sit back, relax. Please enjoy part 1 and FYI, I mean part 2. Sorry, I meant part 2. I'm losing my mind. Just so you know, when I get back, I'll be going to P-Town for Women's Week, October 9th through the 14th. Then on the 15th, I'm in Stamford, Connecticut for the Israel Cancer Research Fund Gala. I got a lot going on. Then on October 21st, I am in Fort Lauderdale at the Sunshine Cathedral. And on the 28th, if you're in any of these places, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, I'm going to be at Soul Joel's inside Sunnybrook. So that's on the 28th. So Pennsylvania on the 28th, Fort Lauderdale on the 21st, Stamford, Connecticut on the 15th, Provincetown, Massachusetts, the week of the 9th. And then, baby, and the week before that, this week, I am in Sweden. So sit the back, relax, and enjoy part 2 of my interview with the one and only Dee Snider. Okay, so you have more children, and then you go bankrupt.
Yeah.
I mean... Twice. And you cannot feed your kids. You are riding a bike to work and hiding your face so that people aren't like, wait, aren't you? I mean, because you're very recognizable.
You can't hide his face.
Yeah.
You can't hide his face. I mean, I've been skiing with only this sticking out with a mask on and a helmet, and people are like, yo, D, what the hell? What's sticking out? Is my nose showing? And there's the nose is showing too, so it's more like that, which is a giveaway. I would say I'm the Jay. Okay. I would say I'm the Jay Leno of heavy metal. But I lose everything by 1990. Now, mind you, the band broke in 84, 85. 5 years later,
it's all gone.
I'm gone, and we're living in a rented house, and I get a job answering phones at a desk job for it was getting $200 a week cash. Remember that was like in the pocket. And I only had one car. Suzette had the car, so I'm riding a bicycle to work, bringing a bag lunch, and people are walking in the office and going, my hair's pulled back and stuff, but this is showing.
Right.
And they're going, "Aren't you Dee Snider?" And I'm lying because I'm so
Right.
embarrassed and humiliated. And I go, no, well, no, I just look like him. They go, "Wow, it's uncanny.
Yeah.
It's uncanny, man." And I go, "Yeah, right. If only," because people couldn't imagine that you could have millions and blow it all. And I wasn't high. I wasn't drunk. It wasn't embezzled. It wasn't any of that stuff. I just was living like a rock star. And when the bottom falls out, you don't want to believe it's over. So that same ego that drove you to stick with it, you keep saying, you start borrowing,
Right,
advancing against future royalties, going, the next album, the next tour is going to fix it. And when it doesn't, one day people stop loaning you money. And I had a year where I had $0 income. $0 income. And I had 3 kids.
Do you, you talk about putting these flyers on these cars for Suzette to do hair and makeup and stuff.
Well, this is again Suzette. One thing I never for a minute thought she would leave me. And when I had nothing, she was there through it all. When I had everything, she was there in spite of it. She sometimes said that was the worst time,
Right.
those 80s, when I suddenly became like this
Right.
this monster. And when I lost everything, I didn't think she was going to leave me. She went and worked in a salon. I stayed with the kids, and on weekends, for $100, she was doing weddings, hair and makeup at weddings. But I would go out to these wedding, what do they call them? Where you go to a hall, you pick the caterers for the wedding. I forget what they call them. Fairs, wedding fairs, and I would flyer car windows, with Suzette's information so that she could get work. I'm whoring out my wife. And and you're referencing my opening my book.
The frats, yeah.
I'm being chased through, well, not frats. I'm
the other book.
referencing.
I've read too much in too short of period of time.
That's my memoir. Shut up and give me the mic. I'm getting chased through a parking lot at a wedding hall by security, and I'm running not because I'm afraid I'm going to go to a wedding hall jail. I'm afraid they're going to recognize me and say, "What are you doing flyering cars in a parking lot?" Another guy flyering says, "Man, you're really fast. You want a job?" But I'm being fast because I just want to get out of there before people know.
That's right. I read. Yeah. Do you?
This is humbling. Humbling is good for a man. I'll tell you that.
I wanted to ask you. What that felt like. Like, I look at people, like Joan Rivers, who lost everything. Her husband died. She was persona non grata. She couldn't get a fucking job. Like, what did it feel like to be this father, this icon? How did you wake up in the morning and continue? I mean, did you know it's going to work out? Or was it just like, I am responsible for these other people and I got to stop thinking about myself?
Well, I was living very much a double life.
Right.
Because to what was left, and mine is the 90s. This is the grunge era. So add on top of that,
they're all,
I got one day I come in as a memo, we're not doing what you do anymore.
Yeah, like they did with
what do you
disco.
mean by that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're not singing like you. We're not looking like you. We're not writing songs like you. We're not performing like you. We're not dressing like you. There's nothing you do that we're interested in. They would talk about bottoming out and being second, and being broke and riding that bicycle. But I'm still trying to stay connected to music. I'm going to events and the hair's out, and I'm still trying to I'm trying to not let people know the truth. I was doing Howard Stern was always a great friend, and I'm still doing his show, and he doesn't know that by day I'm answering phones in an office, and but I'm still coming on a show and acting like because to him, to the world, whether my music was on the radio or not, I was still a rock star. And his assumption that once you've achieved it, you're set for life.
Right.
Which is not the truth of it, not for most of us. The Ozzy, Eltons, Eric Claptons, Stevie Nickses of the world are the 0.00001 percenters who have a lifetime career. Most of us get a few years, and then and you're left to going and playing bars, doing your classic rock for the rest of your life.
Do you ever?
So it was really tough.
Have you ever gone back and listened to those radio interviews?
No, not that I'm for any reason that I wouldn't.
Right. No, I just was wondering. I mean, God, what a.
I hear people, because it's on the Best of Stern. They play all of them.
Right.
People always be coming back. There was a time where I'd be on 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I would go to Howard's house in the morning, and we'd drive with his limo,
Yeah.
and then I'd go there and do the show, and then ride back with him. And I was gone so regularly, I was almost a member of the crew for a while.
Yeah, I
there.
remember.
And so there's a lot of people constantly saying, you guys were so good together.
And also, here are these two guys who everyone thinks are just like these radicals, and they're just family guys. They're just,
That was our bond. He grew up in Roosevelt. I grew up in Baldwin. He was a year older than me. He was married to Allison, had Emily.
Right.
I was married to Suzette, had Jesse. And then he proceeded. And for the years we were hanging together, we were very similar.
Right.
Wild by day. I'm wild by night. He's wild by day. But we go home, and we were family guys. And so we had a great, and then we proceeded to have more children. He had 2 more girls. I had 2 more boys. He stopped allowing my boys to be around his girls because they were growing up, and Emily and Jesse were kind of, how you doing?
Yeah.
But then what happened? People say, what happened to you guys? He got divorced.
Yeah.
And became a divorced guy. And I was still a married guy. As a divorced guy, he was hanging out guy, and he started partying again. And God bless him. And he wound up going out with a model and marrying a model. I remember one time we hung out together, and Suzette said she felt like she was cheating on Allison. It's that weird thing about divorces, like who gets who in the divorce. And she became really good friends with Allison, his wife. And it felt weird. So Howard's life went in another direction, and I stayed the same dude.
So you write a Christmas song for your wife, okay? Called The Magic of Christmas Day. God bless us all.
Yes.
And you get a phone call that Celine Dion wants to record this song.
Right. And you just got to point out to people, Suzette asked me to write her a Christmas song. I wrote her one, not for a heavy metal guy writing a Christmas song.
It's such a beautiful song.
It wasn't for commercial use. It was like a gift for her. But a few years later, now I'm in the basement. I got the call. I was in the basement. I had a folding table with my desk, and I'm writing screenplays. I'm trying to figure out some way escape out of this hell I'm in. I get the call that they played the song for Celine Dion, and she wants to put it on her holiday record, her Christmas album.
And that gets you out of debt.
Well, we call the house Saint Celine built, and don't ever speak ill of Celine. As a matter of fact, so the first thing I said when they told me Celine wants to record your wife's Christmas song, I said, does she know who wrote it?
Yeah.
And I said, we didn't tell her yet. I said, well, do not tell her Satan wrote her Christmas song. I was so fearful that she would go, I got to distance myself, from that guy, because she was so, whatever she was. And so that record that is on is called These Are Special Times. It's the biggest selling holiday time in
Unbelievable.
history. Sold 14 million copies.
Have you ever spoken to her about it?
No.
That's crazy.
I don't know if she knows. Still don't know if she knows. I was in Canada, and I got a Diamond Award for 10 times platinum.
Right.
I mean, in Canada, they issue a copy of that record at birth. So, that was one of those turnaround moments, pull us out of the darkness, along with things like doing voiceover work. I mean, I did voiceover work, and that was a godsend. I was the voice of MSNBC for a while. And I remember they had to break the news to MSNBC that Dee Snider was the voice they picked because they auditioned over tapes, and then they picked my voice, and they were going, yeah, just one thing in full disclosure. Your voice of your network is the guy from Twisted Sister, but hey, tonight at 8 on MSNBC in the Line of Fire with Ashley Banfield, so and that paid the bills. It's great.
I love that story.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. They're the home of the #1 checkout on the planet and the not-so-secret Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds and Skims use. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/start selling, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/start selling to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/start selling.
Okay, I really want to talk about free speech, which is, I live for free speech. You are a free speech advocate. Your description in front of the Senate, when you talk about lyrics, that they had taken all your lyrics out of context and put them in, different order. And
Yeah.
the idea of interpretation, which I say a lot. Look, you can be offended by a joke, but that doesn't mean that was the intent of the comedian. The comedian is telling this joke, and if you're taking their intent out and you decide, okay, this one word bothers me, so I'm not going to listen to the whole thing because now I'm triggered, then you're the asshole. You're losing out.
Or with comedy, the selectiveness of what offends you.
Right.
Again, going back to Howard, hit the bell. He had somebody call in one time, and they were like, Howard,
Yeah.
Long Island, New Jersey people. Howard, I love your show. I listen every day. I love everything. But today, you talked about autism, and that crossed the line. And Howard said this, and he said, let me understand this. You listen every day. Yes, I do. And you laugh at all. I make fun of everybody, and you laugh until today. I made fun of somebody that was personal to you and bothered you. He said, no. He said, stop listening to my show. He said, I could respect you more if at least you said, I don't like anything you do.
Right.
But to say that you would listen to everything and selectively pick certain things out that bother you, you're an asshole.
Right.
And I said, and that's how people are with comedy. They're laughing, and then they're laughing at everybody else's joke, at everybody else's expense. But all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're saying something that's personal to me now. No, it's either all funny or none of it's funny.
And it's like, it doesn't happen in music. It's like, you don't go to a concert and, you're a fan of the band, and then they decide to do some new songs at the concert and you don't like the songs. You don't say that band should never perform again,
No, but I would like to say that we see you going to the people out there. I'm talking to the audience. We see you leaving to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I say it's like Pavlovian. These words. I said, if you've got a problem going to urinating, these words will set you free. This is one off the new album. Good God, you can sleep out. Oh, I got to pee.
That's hilarious.
Everybody suddenly, I'm going to get a beer while I'm out there. We see you streaming out of the room. I remember seeing Led Zeppelin play Kashmir at Madison Square Garden, probably their biggest song of all time, but the album hadn't been released yet. They went into Kashmir. Half the audience got up and left to go to the bathroom while they were playing us because they didn't know the song, and it just sounded like a big
This
mishmash.
is why Billy Joel sells out stadium after stadium after stadium, because it's just his greatest hits.
Yeah, no new songs.
But
I saw Elton John saying he was going to play new material in the new tour, and he was worried. And they said, and Paul McCartney says he sees people's eyes glass over the minute you do something from the new album. It's like, all of a sudden people are like,
yeah.
So we get our own version of,
but it's like we're
of
doing the work in front of you, and you're fucking turning on us. It's like, no, we haven't.
Oh, you're the bold. By the way, I'm friends with a lot of comedians. It's the most dangerous job in the world. I have the most respect for comedians. I've been friends with so many. You guys are just there with a dick in your
Yeah,
hand, basically.
pretty much.
There's no wall of sound protecting you. It's no band, 5 guys up on the stage.
Right.
It's just, so much respect for what you do. It's the most dangerous thing in
I
the
love
world.
it. I love it. Billy Joel said, being rich and famous is tough. Being poor and famous must really suck. Okay. Thank you for that, Billy.
Well, we were talking about the Bernard, what's his name? The subway,
Oh,
the
Bernard
guy who
Getz.
gets, and how he became like tabloid
Right.
fodder, and he was haunted. He was in the news, and he was saying that he was famous,
Right.
but he was just like, was he a post office worker or
Yeah.
something? It stabbed somebody with a screwdriver, whose kids were picking on
Yeah.
him, and he said that's what he said. He said, "Man, being rich and famous is tough.
Right.
Being poor and famous must
Yeah.
suck. You got no limo to jump
Yeah.
into. You got no bodyguard to ward off people.
Okay. You recently got, I don't know how, I mean, I'm a member of the
Go ahead.
LGBTQ plus community, and I'm a fan of yours. And I loved how you handled, so you agreed with someone on Twitter regarding gender.
Children deciding gender orientation at single digits
Right.
in elementary school.
Right.
And that blew up my face. I was on vacation in the morning. I said, "Yeah, I agree with that." And I came back in the evening. I was like, "Whoa, what
Yeah.
happened?" You get on the phone. The Gay Pride Parade wants to talk to you. I was supposed to be the grand marshal for the Gay Pride Parade, and they were upset that I agreed with that particular bit of information.
There's no
opinion.
nuance on Twitter. There's no nuance when it comes to posting anything on social media. And if they looked at your background and what you have stood for, and the fact that, okay, this is an opinion I have, but I stand with you. It's this idea of cutting people's heads off. I always say, free speech, it's the left and the right that abuse our First Amendment. But the left, with this constant being offended by proxy, just, being crybaby. Come on, people. It's again that idea of interpreting things one way, and that's the only way, but it's not the only way, and you never get the right to
Very true.
explain.
And also looking at the whole picture and not hyper analyzing one little spot without looking at the entire situation. So there was I'd say it was an attempt to cancel me.
Right.
Didn't work out well because I pushed back with an open letter on my Facebook page, which got as much coverage as the attempted cancellation.
And you spoke to
I
them
said,
personally too.
yes. And I said, really? I was the grand marshal of the.
Right.
I said, I've stood with you guys shoulder to shoulder. I've represented, I've championed you, and I disagreed with one thing.
Time, yeah.
And I'm dead. I'm dead to you
Right.
now. I said, and I just said, this is not a good look.
Right. It's
This is not a good
at
look.
all. Yeah.
You need support from a wider group of people than just your core
Right.
group. You need people who are a little more moderate, but still believe you in your rights
Right.
and stand with you and sing
humanity.
with you.
Yeah.
I said, we can't be so just reject people because they don't see exactly eye to eye. I say, who? Name a person. Well, actually, it looks like you and me agree eye to eye. It's very
Right.
unusual that you could say, I agree with every single thing this person stands
Right.
for. That's very unusual.
Right.
If you can count at 90%, all right, pretty good. We can hang.
Right.
But just the idea that one
And
thing
they cut you
gonna go-
off. You're
Yeah,
cut
yeah.
off. I want to talk to you about banning drag. You essentially were doing drag for years. And before, this has become such a lightning rod. Why do you think they're picking on fucking drag queens?
Look, if you go to in the earliest days of Twisted Sister, we before Suzette, we were wearing women's
Right.
clothing. We'd go to a women's shop and get something. And of course, it was very funny because we were looking to get a reaction, and we were getting it, but it was very visceral, and it was very homophobic, and
Yes.
it was very like if people were picking fights with me because I was a fag,
Right.
so it was very so they were it was triggering to people. I know clearly we have not come that far. What we've seen with since Trump came into office, of people slithering out from under
Right.
rocks. What's going on in Florida right
Oh.
now? Some of the trades learned during slavery
Oh my
were
God.
beneficial. I mean, that this is even coming out of people's mouths shows that we have not come. We thought we had a black president. Well,
Yeah,
we're
I did.
so
I
progressive.
totally thought. Yeah, same
No,
thing.
no, 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 no. So anyway, it's still there. This homophobia is great, and they get shut down and pushed back because most of us do not stand with those people,
Right.
and we push them back, but they're getting a chance to open their big fat mouths, and they're as homophobic as ever and as threatened as ever.
Right. And it's because they're dumb. I'm sorry, but they're dumb.
Well, because they're feeling, we go to frats, and I talk
Yeah.
about that, and there's a lot of homoerotic hazing.
Right.
Has a lot of homoerotic behavior in hazing, a lot of beatings and dressing the guys up as women, and a lot of this weird, you see in a lot of sports. There's a lot of homoerotic
Right.
behavior going on out there in the world, and I think guys feel very
Threatened.
they feel uncomfortable with their own
masculinity is
feelings,
threatened.
and what they do is they lash out
Right.
violently at homosexuals to prove that they're masculine
Right.
and that they're not. They have no homosexual tendencies. My wife always says we got a lot of woman in you. The two of us. She's got a lot of dude in her,
Yeah.
and I got a lot of woman. And we sort of but that's a healthier way to be, by the way. Be in touch with your feminine side,
Yeah,
guys.
I agree. I mean, it is such a good time for this book, Frats, because I mean, it deals with toxic masculinity, the pressures of being male in today's society. I feel like, and I have two sons, and they're straight, and grew up with moms, and they're very self-assured in their masculinity. They grew up around so many different kinds of people. But the pressure now, I talk to a lot of, other parents, and they say that boys are in a really bad situation now. And this book is just the perfect, Frats. It really speaks to you're really on the pulse all the fucking time.
But this is a sad thing about that, Judy. Is this is set in the 70s when I was growing up, but it's still going
Right.
on. Do you see what's going on in Michigan? That hazing thing, one of the
Yeah.
colleges, insane hazing, and the guy said he was being dry humped by another man as part of his hazing ritual. I mean, like it's so sad that we think we've come so
Right.
far, yet there's so much work to do. And just in fairness to coming so far, yes, a couple hundred years ago we were slaughtering each other
Right.
in the fields. So we have made improvements, but man, it seems incremental.
The thing about the fact that this takes place in the 70s, and it just reminds me of the fact that you get on Twitter now or whatever, Instagram, whatever, and the issues of today. There's so many videos of George Carlin and Richard Pryor that speak to exactly what's going on now. Like when George Floyd was murdered, the number 7 download on Spotify that week was a Richard Pryor bit about the cops. I mean, we have not changed. And in fact, we've gotten worse because now we have these platforms and everyone has a fucking soapbox. So, this is a cautionary tale right here, Frats.
Yeah, it is. And for those reading it, so it's about these high school fraternities or gangs.
Yeah.
I was not in a high school fraternity. When you read the book, I am one of the brats. I was one of the outcast guys sitting in the lunchroom, observing and trying not to get my ass kicked by the
Right.
fraternities. But I was a great observer, and it was a unique moment in time, and it was a story that I felt that I needed to share. People like I said, you say, well, it's the 70s. No, this hazing
Right.
stuff is still going
Right.
on. The stupidity and the macho bravado and chest pumping, and you think
Yeah.
it's all gone. No, it's not. It's closeted.
Right.
It's more closeted in many ways, but it's still going on.
And it's people stop feeling threatened. Just be who the
Yeah.
fuck you are. This week's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Now, you know I am a huge advocate for therapy. I talk therapy. I like physical therapy too, but I'm talking about talk therapy. I've been in therapy since I'm 18 years old. There is nothing better. Nothing better. And it is a stressful time. We just had an election. It's the holidays, and we're going to have to spend family time or not spend family time. It's a decision you might make in therapy, because therapy is really the best way, the only way to process your feelings, anxiety, depression, everything. I've been doing it for over 40 years. I know what I'm talking about. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy, if you thought about it for years and just didn't do it, please give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It's suited to your schedule. You go to betterhelp.com/JudyGold. You fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch your therapist at any time for no additional charge. I've done that multiple times in my life, switch therapists. It works. It works. And I know a lot of people who have used BetterHelp, and they love it. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/JudyGold today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome. I want to know, when is the graphic novel coming out, and what's the name of it?
So the graphic novel's called He's Not Gonna Take It. It's on Z2 Comics. It was supposed to come out this month. I was supposed to be at Comic-Con, but it got delayed. It's coming out next month.
Oh my God, you're
you're
killing it.
Yeah. I was always doing new things, but Z2, they do Beethoven,
Right.
Melissa
Yes,
Etheridge.
yes.
They do they take an adult turn on these subjects in a graphic novel comic book form, which is great. It's about 102 pages, but for me, it was eye-opening for me because I never connected the dots
Right.
of how I became that, as those lines came together and that moment in time,
Right.
how I became that voice at that time.
Right.
And I was there to stand up at that time. And the answer is, people kept telling me to shut up.
Right.
My whole life, from my dad, from everybody, it was sort of like, know your place, shut up, stay in your lane. And finally, I just got tired of shutting up. And rock and roll gave me that microphone. Finally, it was in my hands, and I could yell louder than everybody else in the room and get everybody's attention. And I haven't shut up since.
And thank God for that. You're such an inspiration. And I believe in reinventing yourself. I believe in this career, you cannot, as you said, rest on your laurels unless you're Billy Joel. And, you have to reinvent yourself all the time. And your writing is fantastic. Your music is fantastic. I think you're awesome. I really am I'm so proud that
acting's getting better too. I've been acting. I was actually supposed to do a movie with Adam Sandler and Ben Affleck, but it's been pushed back because of the strike. I'm directing a movie, my first movie. And I'm not doing this as look what I'm doing.
because you couldn't live with yourself.
Do things too. You can do things too. Stop thinking about saying, "Oh, I'm going to write a book one day. I'm going to write a screenplay one day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." Stop saying "I'm gonna," and just start doing it. The feeling, and just know this: all they come out of it is a pile of pages on a desktop that say, and you're going to look at it though, and you're going to feel so good that instead of just saying you're going to do it, you actually did it. And I've had plays. Not plays. I had a play.
You were on
a musical I
Broadway.
wrote, produced. Yeah. I've been on Broadway. I've had screenplays, but I've got a lot of other ones stacked up that didn't get sold, but I still had to write them. I wanted to write them, and I'm proud that I did it. I wrote it. It matters. to me at least.
You recently made a statement about streaming music and how negatively it has affected the incomes of musicians. Do you think we're up for another strike here? Because, it's really getting ridiculous, this income inequality.
They should, but the music community should
Right.
strike. But it's not. You've got the musicians in the band are musicians union, and the singers are not in the musicians union. We're Screen Actors Guild. We're AFTRA, SAG-AFTRA now. They've never been a strike of bands.
Right.
They've never stood up.
Same
and
with
pushed
comedians.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we're organized enough, centralized enough, like the actors are, to pull it off. But if there was in my Twitter feed, I posted or reposted, I should say, Vernon Reed of Living Color, amazing guitar player and band. He posted a breakdown of what actually the different outlets like Spotify,
Yeah, I saw that.
YouTube,
Yeah.
are paying, and and people don't see those things. And for people, actually, I never saw it. I just know I get shit.
Right.
But I'm looking at it and going, oh my God. And when you put it into, all right, 1 million streams on YouTube, and we all go to YouTube, is $970.
It's fucking crazy. My residuals are shit. I got one for 1 penny. I just received one for 1 cent from Madam Secretary on CBS. And you're telling me the head of CBS isn't a billionaire. 1 cent.
Yeah. I've got a few of those checks myself. They're hysterical. You put them, you don't even bother.
Yeah, you want to just take a picture of them and frame
I'm hoping
them.
that 1 penny drives them crazy.
It costs more to mail the fucking check. Dee, I asked my podcast guests 2 questions before I end this wonderful. I could talk to you all day. Number 1.
Well, before you do, let me just say thank you for
my God.
reading. Thank you for researching. Thank you for taking the time. I mean, most of the time it's whatever.
I get it. That's why I do the podcast.
People go that far. You went above and beyond, and I thank you for your kind words.
Thank you.
While you were singing my accolades, I was getting chills. I was going, "That's really nice."
No, that's why I do this podcast, because I have had so many shitty interviews, and I'm like, don't ask me how I got into comedy and if women have it harder. Like, shut up. Do your fucking. And I find it was incredible when I can't even. It's just like you're such a complete person with so many dimensions, and I loved it. It was such a journey for me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So what are the 2 questions? Sorry.
I love you for that. Number 1, what do you do for your mental health? We're a pro mental health podcast.
What do I do for mental health? Workout.
Yeah, same.
Exercise.
Yeah, so important.
I remember there was a time where I stopped for some reason. It was in the late 80s, whatever reason it was. I stopped and I started getting these migraine headaches. I never had migraine headaches, and it was coming out of the neck, and it was this pain. And anyway, long story short, when I went to the doctors and he was like, "What changed?" I stopped exercising. And by the way, people, it doesn't have to be over the top. You don't want to be a gym rat,
Right?
The gym rat, just some
get out,
big exercise. Get out, get some sun,
and
whatever.
Move.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and move. So that's really what I do.
Also, you're very creative. So I think that the fact that you practice writing and you do all this shit because you don't want to put out a shitty product is admirable as well.
There's a lot of venting in writing, I think, for sure. Writing my memoirs was a lot.
Do you handwrite or do you computer write?
So one of my father oddly was. I think you might want to hit the bell on this. He typed. He was a typist.
Oh, wow.
And when he has a great story of going over to Korea, and they needed a typist for to work in the office, and he thought, great, I'm getting off the front line, only to find out that the typist was the assistant machine gunner, the most dangerous job. So he suddenly forgot how to type. But he said it'll come in handy for you. So I took typing classes.
Too.
And a matter of fact, came in handy. I used to type my girlfriend's Suzette's her term papers and stuff for school. But anyway, yeah. So I'm just.
Isn't it
I'm
funny
so
when you
fast.
watch these kids and they didn't take typing class and they're just typing with one finger?
Frantically,
Yeah,
they're pretty.
and I'm like
they're pretty-
QR,
yeah.
QWER, ASDF, JK. I mean, like it's a good skill to have.
So now look at the so my handwriting's become worse and worse and worse because I'm just good on the keyboard.
Okay. That's number one. Number two, I call the podcast Kill Me Now because everything gets on my fucking nerves. So what pisses you off? It could be anything. What fucking makes you so angry? And it could be like the most minute thing in the entire world, but what makes you crazy?
I always go with the first thing that flashed in my head. And there are a number of things. People who aren't handicapped, who park in handicapped
fuck that shit.
spots.
I fucking hate that.
I curse them. I see them pull up in their Corvette and get out and just,
yeah, they act like they're
Johnny Bravo go, and I go, may you get an illness. I if there's a God in heaven, you will need that parking spot one day for real. And
I hope someone's in it.
I'm horrible. You die an awful death. I've got no mercy.
I love that.
Because my mom and my dad, and they went and so many people who need those
I know.
spots.
You
Really,
fucking selfish
really?
prick.
Yeah.
I once said something about that because, when you get on a flight and they're like, anyone who needs extra help, and there's people who you're like, all right.
Are sprinting to the gate.
And they're
sprinting.
like, I got so much shit that there are handicaps that you can't see and disorders that you can't. And I'm like, look, I get it. But if you can run on the fucking plane, you can wait in line for 5 minutes with everyone else.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Those people.
Yeah, now everyone can write to me what a fucking cunt I am. Okay. I just want to say thank you. Please, everyone, get Frats, but also read Dee's autobiography and the new graphic novel, and check everything out on my Insta, whatever the social fucking shit. But I can't thank you enough. You're the greatest.
Feelings mutual.
Oh.
So when you come to me and my wife always going, where do you work in LA? Because I'm out in LA.
I don't. I usually work at the Comedy Store, but I haven't been there in a while. But
let me know when you go. My wife and I go there frequently.
Okay.
We're regular.
I would love that.
We're regulars at the Comedy Store, and I would love to come down and catch a set. Comedy is people. It's so important. What you guys do, and I know you guys. My son was a comedian for a while until he got over his depression. Then he stopped doing it because it comes from a dark place. Unfortunately,
it really does.
To go out and laugh. And my wife said, "We got to this started during COVID. We got to and then Trump. Got to laugh. And going and watching so many of you guys struggling with the censorship and what you can and can't say. But I love that so many of you are pushing back.
Absolutely.
Whether it's qualified with, hey, fuck you, I'm going to say this. You don't like it, go out now. Get out of here now.
Yeah, we're telling the truth.
But you know what?
Yeah.
We got to push back. And so people go out and support comedians. You'll be glad you did because you'll come back smiling. Yeah. Just like going to a rock show.
That's right.
Come out feeling better because you laughed, you sang, you just jumped around, you enjoyed yourself, and you went home. So let me know when you're in town because we always come down to the shop.
I would love that. All right. Break a leg with everything. You're the best.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to part 2 of my conversation with the one and only Dee Snider. How great was that? Wasn't that great? It's like, you come from 2 different worlds, and yet there's so much to talk about, so much in common, and I love him. Oh, I wanted to, of course, say that Kill Me Now is produced by Laura Vogel, edited by Colin Schmaling, marketing, everything, scheduling, everything else done by the one and only Brittany Jo Sowards Richmond. I am currently in Sweden, but I'm back next week, so you can come see me next week on October 5th. I'm doing a sisterhood in Bedford, New York, a sisterhood for Sheree Tefillah, because I'm a Jew. And then I'm off to P-Town, October 9th through the 14th. The 15th, I'm in Stamford at the Israel Cancer Research Fund. And then come see me in Fort Lauderdale on the 28th. And come see me in Pottstown, Pennsylvania on the 28th Oh, no, I'm in Sunshine Cathedral on the 21st and on the 28th, Soul Joel's inside Sunnybrook in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. And then, I got stuff going on. And I'm going to be just to plan ahead, November 11th, the Marcus JCC of Atlanta. And then I'm getting my knee replaced. Yeah. But anyway, I'll be talking about all that next week when I get back. So thank you all so much for listening. Thank you to everyone who came to my show in Arlington and told me they listened to my podcast. That made me so happy. And I was in synagogue for Yom Kippur, and a very, very smart person told me they love my podcast. So that made me feel really good, even though I'm not supposed to be focusing on myself, but whatever. You know what? It's all about me. So anyway, be well. Thank you again so much. Happy, healthy New Year to all the Jews. And as we always say, so long.
This sale season, Ritual is urging you to think about what's essential. Your daily health? Pretty essential. Making sure your products are heavy metal tested, clean label project certified, and sourced through a traceable supply chain? Also essential. So this Black Friday, skip the micro trends and put your savings where they matter. Your health. With 40% off daily essentials like stress relief and Symbiotic Plus for gut support. Head to ritual.com/podcast and shop responsibly.